Okay, folks, this is my second attempt here. For some reason, Screencastify didn't want to upload, so we're going to try to take a shot, and hopefully you remember completing the square, completing the square from Algebra 1. But if not, just real quick, like a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, that's a perfect square trinomial, right? So if we had something like x squared plus 20x plus, and we don't know, what would complete that square. Well, half of that's 10, right? Half of this is 10, so you square that, and that would give me 100. So then this would be x plus 10 squared. We completed the square, okay? Don't know if you remember seeing that. So hopefully you do, and if not, hopefully by doing some of these try it problems, that you'll be able to do that. And don't be too worried about it. We will discuss it again on Monday when I get back. Okay. So, but we're going to take a look at lesson 2.5, completing the square. There's not a whole lot in here, so it shouldn't take too long. But I'm just going to do the try it problems as we go. Okay. First off, it says find the solutions, and this is in your workbook, section 2.5. Not sure what the page is, but it's example 1, try it, and find the solutions to the equations. Well, what they're giving us is, I'm going to write it the other way, 2x plus 12x squared, not 2x, plus 36 is equal to 81. Now, this, if we recognize this is a perfect square trinomial, here's 6, this is 6 squared, this is x being squared, 6 times x is 6 times 2 is 12. And then 81 is also a perfect square, so if we do this, then that's going to give me x plus 6 squared equals plus or minus 9. Okay? Take the square root of both. I should have took the square root. This is 81, sorry. I took the square root too quick. Now when I take the square root, I get x plus 6 equals plus or minus 9. Then I would subtract 6 from both sides, so then that gives me x equals negative 6 plus or minus 9. All right? So negative 6 minus 9 gives me negative 15. Negative 6 plus 9 gives me 3. So my solutions are, let's make that disappear. There, that looks better. Negative 15 and x equals 3. Okay? So if you want to try B, pause it and go ahead and try B, but I'm going to work it out here. So we got x squared minus 16x plus 64 equals 9. Again, you got 8 being squared, x being squared. 8 times x is 8x. 2 times that's 16, right? So then when we write this, since we got a minus sign there, it's x minus 8 squared equals 9. Take the square root of both sides. X minus 8 equals plus or minus 3. So x equals 8 plus or minus 3. 8 plus 3 is 11. 8 minus 3 is 5. Now you could write that the other way. X, you could have 5 and 11 there. And so, if it's already set up with a perfect square, then you're fine. Okay? And so, and then it says the try it number 2, it's kind of leading to how we get to these solutions. It says, how can you write the equation x squared minus 6x minus 11 equals 0 in the form of x minus p squared equals q? Again, we're just completing the square. So we've got x, let me make that bigger, x squared minus 6x minus 11 equals 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this part, x squared minus 6 plus something, and then I'm going to move the 11 over, add 11 to both sides, right? And then what's half of 6 is 3. 3 squared would be 9. So then that would give me x minus 3 squared equals 11. Okay. Now, oops, Lord have mercy, I forgot to add 9 to the other side. Somebody's got to keep an eye on me, right? Glad I brought that up. If you add 9 to one side, you got to add 9 to the other side. My bad. I'm not going to restart the video for that, though. Hopefully sorry about that. I'm just trying to get this done before I get out of town. All right, number 3. Solve a quadratic equation by completing the square. So we're still doing the same thing. Okay, so we got x squared plus 4x plus 8 equal 0. So we're going to take the x squared plus 4x plus something, take the 8 over, make it negative 8. What's half of 4? Half of 4 is 2. 2 squared would be 4. So since we have 4 on this side, we're going to add 4 to this side. So then I say x, and I use the sign of the middle, x plus 2, that's this part, squared is equal to negative 4. So now I take the square root of both sides. So that gives me x plus 2 equals plus or minus 2i. Okay, square root of negative 4 is plus or minus 2i. So then I'm going to move the 2 over, so that's negative 2 plus or minus 2i. Okay, and so they may ask you to separate those, but you don't have to while you're doing it by hand. All right, so the solution is negative 2 plus or minus 2i. Here's the question. Does this graph cross the x-axis? No, because the solutions are not real numbers, so it's not going to cross the x-axis. Okay? All right, and again, pause. You try B part, but you're going to have to pause it. If not, I'm just going to go on. So then x squared minus 8x plus 17 is equal to 0. So I'm going to take x squared minus 8x plus something, and I'm going to move that over there. And it helps sometimes, like I forgot there a minute ago, go ahead and write that plus something because I'm going to add something to both sides on it. So then half of 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So I'm adding 16 to this side, so I'm going to add 16 to this side. So then that gives me x minus 4 squared, x minus 4 squared equals negative 1. Then I take the square root of both sides. X minus 4 equals plus or minus I. Sorry. So then that gives me, if I move the 4 over, 4 plus or minus I. Okay? Example 4, try it number 4. The relationship between the time since a ball is thrown and its height can be modeled by that equation. Where height is the ball after t seconds. Complete the square to find out how long it will take the ball to reach a height of 20 feet. Okay, so now if the ball is at a height of 20 feet, it's not saying the max or anything, but it says, at 20 feet, so that means h equals 20. So I'm going to rewrite this equation as 32t minus 16 t squared plus 32t plus 4 equals 20. So then I'm going to separate negative 16t squared plus 32t, and I'm going to take the 4 over and make that 16. All right. Now, in completing the square here, though, I can take out negative 16. So that gives me negative 16 times t squared minus 2t plus something is equal to 16 plus something. All right? Everybody with me? Remember the 16 because I've subtracted 4 from both sides here. Okay? And then I'm going to take half of 2 is 1. Now here's where you have to be careful. Half of 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. Okay? So then what I'm actually doing is I'm adding negative 16 to this side, so I have to add negative 16 to that side. So then that gives me what did I do wrong? Was it at 20 feet? Minus 2 gives me 0. I'm going to pause a second here, okay? See, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I apologize. Okay, so I'm doing it right. So t minus 1 squared equals 0. Take the square root of both sides. T minus 1 equals 0. So then t equals 1. Lord have mercy. I'm sorry, guys. And luckily I had it worked out here so that I reminded myself what's going on. Okay, so, 16, and then here it is. So, again, I apologize. Just bear with me. I tried to think, well, why is it 0? But then I had to go ahead and take the square root, and I didn't do that. So, I apologize. And if I confuse anybody, again, I apologize. Number 5, write each equation in vertex form. Identify the max or minimum of each value. All right. So I'm going to do this a little bit differently than the book does. Okay. Just so that I keep it. What is vertex form? Okay. Vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k, right? Okay. That's vertex form. Now, some folks will tell you that you have to do it another way, but I like it. I like to do it my way. You know me, right? So the thing is, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this part, okay, and I'm going to divide out the negative 3. So that's negative 3, negative 3x squared plus 3x plus something plus 7. Now, if I add something to one side, then I would have to subtract it from one side. I'll do it both ways, okay? I'm going to do it both ways, all right? So half of 3 is 3 halves. 3 halves squared is 9 over 4. Now, here's the thing. What am I doing? I'm adding negative 3 times that. So that's negative 27 over 4. So if, to counteract that negative 27 over 4 on this side, what do I have to do? I have to add 27 over 4, don't I? And so that would give me y equals negative 3 times x plus 3 halves squared. And to get this, that would be 28 over 4. So 28 over 4 plus 27 over 4 is 55 over 4. So then what's the maximum or minimum? Well, we know it's a maximum because the shape of the graph is like this and A's that way. So the maximum is 55 over 4. Okay? And it occurs at negative 3, 2. Okay, it occurs at negative 3, 2. Now, I don't know why they messed this up. I should have left that on there. Okay, the answer's right. They wrote their equation wrong. Okay, that should be plus 55 over 4, like this one. Okay, and again, I wanted to show you both ways and the way the book does it, and it may be a little less confusing for you. And so I'm going to do it that way also. Okay, just so that for those that want to do it quicker, you can. If you want to do it the other way, it's fine. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 7 from both sides. And then we're going to do that. We're going to do the thing here. And so keep the y minus 7. And so negative 3 times x plus 3x plus something. And so then I would take 3 over 2, square that's 9 over 4. But again, I'm adding negative 27 over 4 to this side. So what do I have to do? I have to add 27 over 4 to this side. So then I would have y minus 55 over 4 equals negative 3 times x plus 3 halves squared. Then I would have to take this back over to get at the vertex. So for me, I think it's easier to do it the first way I showed you. But either way that you want is fine, because the thing is, if I leave it on this side, I have to add it. Okay, I have to add, I have to get rid of it. So let's do another one. And again, you can go ahead and try it. You can pause, but I'll go ahead and start B. And I'm going to do it my way, because to me, I get less confused. Okay, so then we've got y equals 2x squared plus 12x plus 9. Y equals, I'm just going to take this part. That's 2 times x squared plus 6x. I took out the 2. And I'm going to add something. And I'm going to do something else to the 9. Okay, so half of 3 is 9. Half of 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9, but I'm adding 2 times 9, which is 18. So to keep my equation balanced, I have to subtract 18. So then that gives me y equals 2 times x plus 3 squared minus 9. So this one is going this way, and the vertex is going to be at negative 3, negative 9. So then the minimum value is negative 9, and it's located at negative when x equals negative 9. And I wish they would write out the quick equation. I don't like the way that this is written, because this is not right. It should have plus 55 over 4, and it should have minus 9. Because remember that the vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Okay, so keep that in mind. I really wish they wouldn't have done that. All right, so let's just let's do some of these know-how problems. And looks like I've run out of white paper almost. I have. So x squared plus 12x plus 11. And you may want to go ahead and try these 5 through 10 or 11, whatever this is here. And go ahead and try them and then come back and look at what we're doing. Okay. So now I probably wouldn't complete the square here, because the factors of 11 add up to 12, right? I don't have to, but they want us to do it by completing the square. So that's 12 plus x squared plus 12x plus something equals negative 11. Half of 12 is 6. 6 squared gives me 36. Since I'm adding 36 to the left, I have to add 36 to the right. So then that gives me x plus 6 squared equals 25, right? Yeah, make sure I'm adding right. Take the square root of both sides. X plus 6 equals plus or minus 5. X equals negative 6 plus or minus 5. So then x equals negative 6 minus 5. Negative 11, negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. So then the solutions are that. Now we could have found that just by straight factoring like we've been doing, but they want us to complete the square. Okay. All right, so solve the equation by completing the square. They're going to leave, I'll leave the 27 over here because we don't need it, do we? Okay. And it doesn't matter. You can rewrite it to the other side if you want. But so that's 27 equals 3 times x squared plus 4x plus something. So half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. But now we're not just adding 4, we're adding 3 times 4, which is 12. So since we're adding 12 to this side, we'll subtract 12 from the other side. And I'm going to rewrite it the other way. So 3 times x plus 2 squared equals 15. Divide by 3, x plus 2 squared equals 5. Take the square root of both sides. X plus 2 equals plus or minus the square root of 5. So then x equals minus 2 plus or minus the square root of 5. Okay. Now, could I have went ahead and divided 3 out of everything and factored it? Yeah, I could have. But, I just went ahead and did it the long way. Number 7, solve the equation by completing the square. Okay, so we got 2x squared plus 6x minus 14 equals 0. Now, you could go ahead and divide by 2, but that's going to give you 3 in the middle. Make your fraction a little bit, make you have fractions in there. So I'm going to say 2 times x squared plus 3x plus something. Still going to get a fraction, aren't we? Equals 14. So then 2 times, half of 3 is 3 halves. 3 halves squared is 9 fourths. So I'm adding 18 fourths. So I'm actually going to add 18 over 4 to both sides. And I probably should have went ahead and divided by 2, but who cares? So we got x plus 3 over 2 squared equals, now what is 14 as a 4? You'd have to multiply by 4, so that's 56. So 56 over 4 equals 18, plus 18 over 4. And that would give me 74 over 4. And if I divide that by 2 then that'd be x plus 3 halves squared equals 37 over 4. And so then that would give me x, take the square root, x plus 3 over 2 equals plus or minus the square root of 37 over 2. And then that give me x equals minus 3 halves plus or minus the square root of 37 over 2. Okay, hopefully we got that right. Now again, you could have went ahead and factored out the 2 if you wanted. That's fine. You got the same answer. Number 8. Write the equation in vertex form. Now again, here when we write in vertex form, we want to keep the thing on the same side, or I do. Now if you don't want to, you don't have to. But so y equals x squared plus 6x plus something minus 6, and we're also going to be adding that plus something over here, right? So then half of 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So since I'm adding 9, what do I have to do? I got to add the opposite, don't I? So I got to subtract 9. Since I'm adding 9, I got to subtract 9. Keep it on the same side. So I add 9 to the right side. I got to subtract 9 from the right side. Now, if I'd have took the 6 over, that changes it a little bit. But this is just, I think it's so much easier to do it this way. And so then that gives me x plus 3 squared minus 15. So then what's the vertex of our graph? The vertex is at negative 3, negative 15. Okay, here they wrote the whole equation out. I don't know why they didn't do it on the others when they were asking for the maximum and minimum. Now, for those of us that get confused by this adding and subtracting on the same side, I'm going to redo the question just, like the example in the book shows. So I'm going to have to write, take the 6 to the other side. Okay. And so then that would give me x squared plus 6x plus something. And I would say 3, and that's 9. Now, since I added 9 to this side, I'd have to 9 to that side, and that'd give me y minus 15 equals x plus 3 squared. And then how do I do that? I got to add 15 to both sides, right? So to me, it's easier where did I go? So it's geez, I can't write. When I added 9, I got 15. So then I would subtract 15 from both sides. Sorry, see, I get confused doing it that way. To me, it's easier just to add and subtract on the same side. Okay, and we'll talk more about that. And I hope I'm not confusing you too bad. All right. Write the equation in vertex form and identify the maximum or minimum value of the graph. So, excuse me. So we're going to take this, and we're not going to divide by 2 because we'd have to divide the y by 2. Okay. So it's negative 2 times x squared plus 10x plus something minus 42. Now, so here, half of 10 is 5. You square that's 25. So what are you actually doing? It's negative 2 times 25 is negative 50. So if I'm taking away 50 from the right, I need to add 50 to the right to keep it balanced. So then that gives me minus 2 times x plus 5 squared plus 8. So then that tells me my vertex is at negative 5, 8. So then, and this graph is going this way because A is negative, so it's opening up. So it's going to have a maximum, and the maximum is going to be at 8. Okay. The maximum point is 5, 8. The maximum value is 8, and it occurs at x equals 5. Okay. All right, so here's one a little more complicated. It says the daily profit P for a company is modeled by the function and so forth, where X is the number of units. So how many units does the company need to sell to maximize profit? So where do you maximize profit? It's at the vertex in it. So again, we need to put it in vertex form. So I'm going to just put P of X, that's Y, right? Let's go ahead and just change it to y. Y equals negative 0.5 x squared plus 40x minus 300. So I'm going to go ahead and separate this part, and I'm going to divide out, factor out negative 0.5 or negative 1/2, right? And so that gives me x squared. Now, what's 40 divided by negative 1/2? Would be negative 80x plus something minus 300. Now remember, we're going to have to do something else over here. Half of 80 is 40. 40 squared is 1600. But, 0.5 times that, negative 0.5. So we're actually, we're adding negative 800 to this. So if we got a negative 800, then we have to add 800, right? To balance it out. You got a negative 800, positive 800, that balances us out. So then that gives me y equals negative 0.5 times x minus 40 squared plus 500. So then the vertex is at 40, 500. So how many units does it have to sell? It has to sell 40. It has to sell 40 units, and its maximum profit is going to be $500. And that's probably in thousands of dollars or something if you were actually in an actual company, but because you really probably wouldn't have much of a company if you sold, if all you could do is sell 40 and get $500, right? All right, so we're done. And hopefully I didn't confuse you too much on some of these things, but, it'll be okay. And we'll talk about everything on Monday. So this will not be an assignment. You'll just have to watch it and